Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I will be doing draft lottery. We haven't talked about that, so we'll talk a little draft lottery, the results, and all those things. Draymond speaks out. Boy, I got a lot to say about that. And then WNBA Opening Weekend, got a few things to say about that as well. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, it's your boy GD back with the All Things Basketball with GD podcast. And guys, we are now into the playoffs and all the things, conference finals and all that. But there were some news items I wanted to get to that didn't have the space on my conference finals to do. And then the previous episodes too, I have space there. So I'm doing a separate episode where I can get all that stuff out and get it off my chest. So with that said, let's get into it. So we will start with the NBA draft lottery, which happened on May the 15th, it was. Whatever last Monday was, that's when it happened, guys. I believe it was the 14th. Yes. So the draft lottery came and went, and this is how it went, guys. As far as here's the order that it goes. At 14, you got the San Antonio Spurs, and they got that from the Atlanta Hawks. And then at the 13th spot, Atlanta gets their pick back thanks to Sacramento for, being in the spot that they're in. So Atlanta gets Sacramento's pick there. Then the 12th pick. The 12th pick goes to Chicago Bulls. Pick 11 goes to the Portland Trailblazers. And then at pick 10, and this one travels a bit of a distance, but Houston, when all is said and done, gets it. There was a slight chance, that given that they're a playoff team and they were second seed, there was a chance that first pick could have floated to them, but that wasn't to be. And they get this one from Brooklyn via Phoenix. So, like I said, it travels a bit of a distance, but it goes to Houston. And then at the 9th pick, the Toronto Raptors. At the 8th pick, the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I was trying to think, has the Brooklyn Nets ever got the first overall pick? I don't believe they have. It was one of those franchises where they didn't get the first overall pick. So there you go there. At pick 7, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. And then pick 6, the Washington Wizards. And pick 5, the Utah Jazz. Now, mind you guys, both of those teams were tied with Charlotte for the greatest chance to get the first overall pick. But that wasn't to be, guys, thus the lottery. So we have a lottery. That's the way it goes as far as that goes. So neither of these teams, as bad as they were, will get a shot at that pick. So that left 4 teams that had a shot at the number 1 pick. The Philadelphia 76ers, the Charlotte Hornets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Dallas Mavericks. So with the 4th pick, it goes to the Charlotte Hornets. So another team that had a great opportunity as far as percentages go, they fall to fourth, which means teams that were lower climbed up. So at the third pick, I know Daryl Morey was punching the air when he heard this. The third pick goes to the Philadelphia 76ers. The second pick to the San Antonio Spurs. I thought they would go back to back, getting not back to back, but two of the last 3 years they get the first pick, but that wasn't to be because the first pick went to the Dallas Mavericks. So the embattled Nico Harrison gets a shot at life here by getting the number one overall pick, going to the Dallas Mavericks. And of course, all over, you heard all the conspiracies and so forth. You heard it this place, you heard it that place. I mean, they said, oh, yeah, because when LeBron left, that next year they got the first pick. Then, they talk about Derrick Rose, a Chicago native, going to the Chicago Bulls, Wemby going to San Antonio. I don't know why they even saying that, but they said the fix is in, and then you hear Shaquille O'Neal tell this story about his draft, how in a conversation with David Stern in June, he asked him, do you want to go to a cold weather place or a warm weather place? Shaquille said warm. So lo and behold, he ends up in Orlando. And mind you, the second pick went to Charlotte, so it could have gone either way, but I think the draft lottery was at a later time as well. So thus adding to the few. And funny thing is, in that interview he does it with she's on Instagram. She always has, she does stuff for clicks. She even admitted to it, Ashley Novell, but that's a story for another day. That in the beginning of the talk with her, he says, oh no, the lottery isn't fixed. But he tells this story about his conversation with David Stern. So I'm like, Shaq, what are you even doing, man? But Shaq's been on another thing lately. So there you go. But nonetheless, Dallas gets it. And now people are saying, oh, that Dallas should trade the pick and get somebody like Giannis or get this person, that person. I'm like, there's no way on God's green earth that Nico Harris, after trading Luka Doncic, that he's going to trade this first pick, who everyone is saying it's going to be Cooper Flag. It's a fait accompli, guys. So can you imagine him in one calendar year? People are crazy. In one calendar year, he's going to trade Luka Doncic and Cooper Flag? Are you kidding me? There's no way in the world they're trading this pick. So, and then, kudos to Dallas. They land on their feet. And then supposedly there was a conversation that Adam Silver had with the Dallas ownership after they traded Luka, saying, oh, we'll make this right or whatever. I'm like, come on, this conspiracy theory stuff. You hear it a million times, but bottom line, Cooper Flag, the presumptuous. Pretty much everyone knows he's going first. He's going to end up in Dallas. And mind you, let us add this to the mix. In the WNBA, which, the NBA and the WNBA are linked, they get the number one pick, Dallas franchise does, and get Paige Beckers. Now you couple that with Cooper Flag. So, you can see the endorsements now between Paige and Cooper, and forget about it. It's going to be a cash cow for the city of Dallas. And then here's what I say as far as the conspiracy theorist crowd goes. Do you think the other 29 teams are okay with the lottery being fixed? I'm just saying. Would you think they would raise a stink if they knew the lottery was fixed? Come on, guys. You got to be smarter than that. So that's all I'm going to say with that. But again, congrats to the franchise, the Dallas Mavericks, for getting the #1 pick overall. And then after that, you got a laundry list of guys that can go after that. I don't know as far as, the prospective players. You got a couple of guys from Rutgers. Ace Bailey is one, Dylan Harper. So you got a couple of guys there. Harper's a wing player, whereas Bailey is kind of he's a big 6'10". And then also there's Cooper Flagg's classmate or teammate, Con Knuble. He's available. He'll be available. Also, Trey Johnson from Texas, another wing player who could be in the lottery. VJ Edgecombe from Baylor. He's a guard that could be in the mix. Derek Queen, a big from Maryland. He's in the mix as well. Carter Bryant, also. Colin Murray. Jeremiah Fears. So, I'm sorry, Colin Murray Boyles. And he's out of, I believe, South Carolina. And he's a swing player as well, guard forward. And then, like I said, Fears, who is a 6'4" guard. So we'll see what happens as, there'll be the rookie camps and so forth as far as the prospective players. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But again, congrats to the Dallas Mavericks for getting Cooper Flag. All right, so let us continue. Draymond Green. It's been a while since we talked about him. So this happened in the series between Minnesota and Golden State. So, mind you, at this point, he had 5 technical fouls. He was 2 away from getting a 1-game suspension, so he had to be on his P's and Q's. So, in game 2, he amasses the 5th one by elbowing Nas Reed in game 2. And then there's a point where he goes on the exercise bike, and the exercise bike is right next to the stands. I don't know why it's there, of all the places you could put the bike, but there you have that. So while he's on the exercise bike, of course, fans are hurling insults at him, and he gets into it with one fan, and one fan says something, a racial epithet, if you will, starting with a B. I won't repeat those words there, but you can Google search it and figure out what it is if you like to do that. So there's that. And then in the locker room after the game, I thought somebody asked him a question, but no one asked him the question. I found this out. He just goes on this rant. And I want you guys to hear the rant. So I will play it now. Hang on 1 second. This, oh no, that's where he calls, what's his name, a sucker. I don't want that. I want the one where I have to look for it. Hang on 1 second. Because I want you guys to hear the rant. You might have heard it already, but I want you guys to hear it for yourself as far as what he says in that. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I found it.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
So that is what he said in the locker room. Just a rant, if you will. So, and then, of course, talking heads. First of all, Stephen A. Smith, as always, he soft shoes these situations when it comes to Draymond, because when he goes hard about it, Draymond gets in his feelings and then cuts him off. But he's cut him off already over the whole LeBron thing. So Draymond is looking at him sideways from that. So Stephen A., he goes soft on him yet again. So no surprise there. He says he's a good brother. He does this, he does that. Nobody's questioning all that. What he is off the court is his behavior on the court. That's the problem, Stephen A. And I know, you have a relationship. Well, you had one, but you burnt that bridge when you went after LeBron. But yeah, so call it what it is, stand on it, but you're not going to do that. So there's that. And then the Odd Couple, I thought they gave a spot on analysis as far as the Draymond thing. It's not often that I agree with Rob Parker, but I think him and Calvin Washington was on the money when they talked about this. He think it's an agenda where they're out to get him. Here's the question. If the agenda is out to label him as the angry black man, what about the 449 other guys? What about, let me give you a few examples. Dylan Brooks. Nobody labels him the angry black man. What about Isaiah Stewart, who everybody knows he's quick to lay hands on people. Nobody calls him the angry black man. They call you that because you have a history, Draymond. You have a history of doing wildness. In fact, may I recite your greatest hits? No pun intended. How about when you kick LeBron in the groin in the playoffs? You have that. In fact, on YouTube, there's a clip that's over 10 minutes long of all the Draymond hits. So, Draymond, what are we even doing? But I continue. He pulled down Kawhi while in the air. He did this during the playoffs, in the finals. He did that. Also in the playoffs, he stomps Domantas Sabonis in the chest. There's that. He kicks Jalen Green between the legs. He does that. I believe that was in these playoffs, but I could be wrong on that. He bumps Donovan Mitchell on a fast break to kind of knock him off balance. He's done that to him. He kicked Terry Eason. In fact, in these playoffs here, he swung elbows at Alperen Sengun. He's done that to him. That, I believe, was in the regular season, not in the playoffs. And then last year, of course, we know about the two incidents where he put Rudy Gobert in the headlock out of nowhere when Rudy Gobert was supposedly, breaking up a fight between, I believe it was I'm trying to think of the Minnesota teammate he did it with, but it was involving a Minnesota teammate and Klay Thompson. And then Draymond took it upon himself as soon as he saw that to put Rudy Gobert in the headlock. So there's that. And then the one where he swung around and he hits Joseph Nurkic, the one that really gave him the long suspension and where he had to do the anger management classes. Oh, and then the coup de grace, the one that I think is the most egregious one, is when he punches out his teammate, Jordan Poole. And in doing that, he was never suspended, guys, not from his team, not from the league. And he was able to, it was just before the season opener. He was able to be part of the season opener. That was the year after they won the chip. And he was able to participate in all the things with no repercussions whatsoever. So, Draymond, what are we even doing here? So, the odd couple said, first, what Kelvin Washington said, that he's trying to hijack the narrative to fit your situation. Whereas there's real life situations going on with black men where, you know, they're getting this label upon them unfairly. So there's that. But what Rob Parker, again, we don't hardly agree, but I thought he was 100% on the money. His team's not going to do anything. They're enablers at this point. Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, and Golden State management. They're going to cover for him. That's just the way it is. The league's done all they can. They suspended him and did all the things, but I think the NBA players, and they've voiced their displeasure about how Draymond gets away with stuff that they could never get away with. I think it's up to the NBA players now to correct this situation. By that, I mean someone has to, my good buddy D would say, have to punch him out. Somebody has to step to him and not knock him senseless, but somebody has to lay some hands on Draymond. That's the only way to stand up to a bully. You got to lay hands on a bully. I don't like advocating violence, but I think this is the only way Draymond learns a lesson. Somebody has to lay up hands upon him. In the old NBA, he wouldn't be doing this nonsense. Let's say Jalen Brunson was playing at a time where you had Oakley, you had Mason. You think a guy like Draymond would put hands on Jalen Brunson? No way. Absolutely no way. You think Draymond Green would put hands on a Reggie Miller when you got the Davis boys there? No way. So that's why a lot of people say, oh, the NBA is soft now, this and that. And hey, listen, everybody's friends, you know, AAU, all the things, but someone has to take it upon themselves to put hands on Draymond. Maybe that'll curb him, maybe, because the league is, you know, they're at wit's end. His team, you can't even count on them to discipline the guy. Somebody got to lay hands on him. So, and then think about this, guys. You know, not to be the old man telling the kids to get off my lawn, but when Robert Parrish had enough of Bill Laimbeer's antics, you know what he did? Frontier justice. He knocked him out under the basket as everybody was going up. He knocked him plain out. Why? Because he got sick of the nonsense. Julius Erving, the elder statesman, the man with class personified, as Walt Clyde Frazier would say. He put his hands around Larry Bird's neck. Why? Because Larry Bird was trash talking him and just berating him. Julius Erving, as cool as the other side of the pillow, couldn't take it, and he put hands on Larry Bird. So there comes a time, and Rob Parker paralleled it to baseball where, it polices itself. One team throws at your guy, the next inning, you throw at their superstar or whoever. So it has to come to that because Draymond Green they're at wit's end with him. So I think the players have to instill justice. Will they do it? I doubt it, but if they do, I would love to report on it. And anyway, so that's what I had to say about the Draymond stuff. So Draymond, what are you even doing? The angry black man. Come on. That's weak sauce there. That's weak sauce for you to even go there. So there's that. I'll leave that alone. So I got that off my chest. And then the WNBA. This weekend has some great moments and one not so great moment, which I'll talk about. First, the Washington Mystics go 2-0, guys, thanks to Brittany Sykes. I tell you what, guys, Brittany Sykes, I talk about her a lot. Well, not a lot, but I know when the Liberty lost Courtney Vandersloot, I wanted them to get a guard desperately. I said Brittany Sykes is a name, but they got Natasha Cloud. I'm happy as can be. Natasha Cloud is such a fit here. I'll talk about her in a minute, but Brittany Sykes, when she's healthy, she's as good a guard as there is in the W. Two-way player. She can get her offense as well. And those rookies, Sonia Centron and Kiki Ariafin. Those two ladies, they're starting for the Mystics, and they're producing, guys. So they're 2-0 to start. Can they maintain this? We'll see. But I tell you what, Mystics aren't the pushover team that they've been the last couple of seasons. They're even bringing Shakira Austin off the bench. I was like stunned. I was like, wow. So, yeah, so the Mystics, hey, that's a nice young team over there. It would have been nice if Georgia Amore was able to be in the mix as well, but she tore her ACL, unfortunately. So, but the Mystics, 2-0 to start. And then you have the New York Liberty. They started their defense of their championship on Saturday, a game I was at. I saw the banner ceremony. I saw them get the rings, all the things. And I couldn't have been more thrilled, man. I've waited 28 years for that to happen. So big ups to the New York Liberty and that organization there. And they capped off the day with getting a 92-78 win over the Las Vegas Aces. That's a bit of a rivalry, if you will. The Liberty have won the 7 of the last 8 against them, so it seems like they have their number now. And then the addition of Natasha Cloud. Ooh, man, I tell you what, guys. It was the first game of the season, but New York has fell in love with Natasha Cloud. 22 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. An absolute terror on both sides of the ball. And I tell you what, guys. I mean, I know it's the first game, but this looks like an absolute heist that they did getting her from Connecticut. So, so I am thrilled to have Natasha Cloud as our floor general. Beautiful game. And Stewie, she had kind of a bit of a rough time in the unrivaled league. She had some medical things done to her in the interim. She had a little cleanup, if you will, but Stewie looked fantastic on Saturday. Very efficient from the field. I mean, and it seemed like her and Natasha Cloud have a rapport already, guys. And I say it on social media that the one thing about Stewie is in the locker room, she wants a point guard close to her. And Natasha Cloud's locker is right next to Stewie, so you already know. But I look for Stewie to have a big year, especially when you got a guard who knows how to find you and, somebody as good as Natasha Cloud. Also, one thing, Courtney Fanderson, I love what she brought to the team and all that, but Natasha Cloud, she can play on both sides of the ball. She can defend and she can get her points when needed. Sabrina had a slow game, but that I give her an out with that. But Jonquel Jones is Jonquel Jones. She's going to give you a double-double. She's going to get her stuff going. But Leonie Phoebus, she only took 3 shots, so she had just came back from overseas. So I'll give her time to get acclimated and all that stuff. But I am very comfortable with this Liberty team, and I think they're the team to beat in the East. So very happy. Also, the Indiana Fever, they had their biggest opening day victory in their franchise. A 93-58 win over the Chicago Sky, where Caitlin Clark had a triple-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. DeWanna Bonner, she moves into 3rd in all-time scoring, passing Tina Thompson. Only people ahead of her now, Diana Taurasi and Tina Charles, who's still playing, by the way. So kudos to DeWanna Bonner. But all the accolades and all the stuff that took place was overshadowed by this incident that I'll talk about in a little while. So there's that. Golden State Valkyrie. They played their first game in front of over 18,000 fans, guys, in attendance. It was an 84-67 loss to the Los Angeles Sparks. Oh, by the way, Kelsey Plum in her debut with the Sparks, 37 points, of which she hit 4 threes in that game. So it was looking like a fantastic trade that they made to bring her in the fold. But bad news in that game. Ray Burrell, their guard/forward, she's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with a leg injury. She sustained that in the first period. So we are sending our prayers and love and light to Ray Burrell, a quick and healthy recovery for her. So hopefully we'll get to see her come back at some point in the season. The Phoenix Mercury, their new additions helped propel them to a 81-59 win over the Seattle Storm. Satu Sabali, oh man, she looked good. I watched this game. 27 points, guys, 6 rebounds, and 2 block shots. I mean, she looked amazing. Alyssa Thomas, 20 points for her, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, along with 2 steals, guys. And Kalia Copper did not play in this game. Hopefully she'll be back sooner than later. But I tell you what, guys, Phoenix Mercury, I think, could be a surprise team when all is said and done, especially once you get a Kalia Copper back in the fold. And then finally, the Minnesota Lynx, they look like they're off to the races, guys. 2-0 guys, with Napheesa Collier leading the way 34 on opening night against the Dallas Wings. And then she comes back and scores 23 points over the Sparks to get the win. So Napheesa Collier, what more can I say about her? The MVP of the Unrivaled League, and dare I say, it's possible she can be in the mix yet again for MVP in the W. So there you go with that. All right, guys, and then this last item, the take foul that's being heard all around the world. The take foul that on Angel Reese that was committed by Caitlin Clark. I'll tell you the play. So Angel Reese has the ball. She comes down. She kind of pushes off. Well, not kind of. She pushes off Natasha Howard inside, to which Caitlin Clark took umbrage with that. So Angel Reese has the ball. Caitlin Clark goes for the ball and kind of knocks her down. People want to say it's a flop or that she flopped on the play. I don't think she flopped. I think that's the way Angel Reese is. If you saw a play earlier in that game where there was a collision inside between Carmela Cardozo, I'm trying to think of the player for Indiana. Might have been Howard in that play too, where they both fell and Angel Reese was nearby and she ended up tumbling. I think it could be something with that surgically, that foot she had surgery on, where that foot just somehow she just falls. So I don't think it was a flop. So Angel did not like the hard foul and went attempt to go after Caitlin Clark, although Caitlin Clark turned her back on the whole play. And mind you, she gave her kind of a glare with the foul. So there's that. So, but Aaliyah Boston thankfully was able to grab Angel Reese, and then later Camila Cardozo came and kind of pushed her away. So, but she was still, going at it and whatnot. So much so they reviewed it. They upgrade the foul on Caitlin to a flagrant. So she has a flagrant one on her resume, and then 2 texts, one for Angel and one for Aaliyah Boston. I don't understand how Aaliyah Boston's getting one because she was basically breaking it up. So there you go. So with that said, the league is now investigating because of Indiana Fever fans supposedly hurling racial language towards Angel Reese when she went to the foul line. So supposedly the coach, her own coach, didn't hear it. So I don't know what to make of that. But someone reported it. It wasn't Angel, for what I understand. Someone reported it. So the league is now looking into it. In fact, I will read to you the statements of all the participants here. Okay. This is the league. The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league and in society. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter. So that's the league. This is from the president and CEO of the Chicago Sky. We welcome the WNBA's investigation of allegations of fan misconduct during our first game of the season. We will do everything in our power to protect Chicago Sky players, and we encourage the league to continue taking meaningful steps to create a safe environment for all WNBA players. So that's from the Chicago Sky, from their front office. This is from Pacers Sports and Entertainment, Mel Raines, the CEO. We are aware of the allegations of inappropriate fan conduct during yesterday's game, and we are working closely with the WNBA to complete their investigation. We stand firm in our commitment to providing a safe environment for all WNBA players. So that's the Indiana Fever. That's their statement. And then from the players, the union, the players union, WNBPA, regarding the hate speech. The WNBPA is aware of reports of hateful comments at yesterday's game in Indianapolis and support the WNBA's current investigation into this matter. Such behavior is unacceptable in our sport. Under the WNBA's No Space for Hate policy, we trust the league to thoroughly investigate and take swift, improper action to ensure a safe and welcoming environment for all. So that is the league's statement there. Now, I do have sound from Caitlin herself on the matter. And this is what Caitlin had to say as far as that goes. Hang on one second and I will get you. Yeah. So here we go. This is Kate.
There's no place for that in the game. There's no place for that in society. And, certainly we want every person that comes into our arena, whether player, whether fan, to have a great experience. So I appreciate the league doing that. I appreciate, the FIBA organization has been at the forefront of that since, really day one and what they're doing. So we'll, hopefully the investigation, we'll leave that up to them to find anything and take the proper action.
So that's Caitlin on the matter. And then we will get Angel Reese's response to this. Because she was just asked this at her practice. And this is what she had to say.
And being able to support me. Going through this whole process, obviously, it happened to me, it happened to anyone, and I think they've done a great job supporting us.
So that is what Angel had to say on the matter. So you got a lot of people who chimed in, most notably the out-of-pocket comments by Robert Griffin III. It was such a loser take. It was really, so he gave this soliloquy on her the hate that Angel Reese has for Caitlin Clark. Why is it so? And all this and that. And he did so with his wife in the background, kind of egging him on, if you will. So, yeah, it's quite disturbing. I tried to listen to it. Yeah, I just couldn't. I just could not do it. But Ryan Clark on his podcast that he does with those guys over there, The Pivot, I thought he did an excellent job in breaking this thing down and kind of calling Robert Griffin III out on it. And Jamel Hill, here's what she said. I thought it was very profound. She said this on the Dan Le Batard show. And I thought it was very profound. Here's what she said. Hang on one second.
I don't pick up that Angel Reese has a personal hatred of Caitlin Clark. What I do pick up from Angel Reese, because she said it, and I like to go with the face value of what the athlete actually says, is I think she resents the fact that she can't have her separate story away from the Caitlin Clark drama. Like, Caitlin Clark can have her separate story. Like, when Caitlin Clark is in any press conference or whatever, unless she's playing Angel Reese or it's something specifically that they have done together that is happening in the moment, she is not asked about Angel Reese at all. She's asked about thousands of other things about her ability as a basketball player. Angel Reese is always routinely asked about Caitlin Clark. And I think she resents that part of it, is the fact that, like, hey, I can't even have my own identity. I can't even have my own identity outside of this storyline that has been following me since college. And if we recall, when Angel Reese announced she wasn't coming back to LSU, when she was in tears, no one had any sympathy for her when she talked about these same men now that are chiming in about Angel Reese and, you know, talking about her behavior and all this. When she cried before the public and told you part of the reason she was leaving LSU was because of all the racial animosity that she faced. They had no sympathy for her. And so she is carrying this chip and she is carrying this resentment, but I don't think it's about Caitlin Clark. I think it's about the way that people have talked about her and about the lack of, frankly, grace that they have shown her through since that moment where she, you know, trash talked Caitlin Clark and flaunted that she won a championship. They have painted this woman out to be so villainous, and we forget how young she still is, that naturally she's wearing a lot of that on her sleeve. So I thought RG3, he's entitled to his own opinion, but I thought his analysis missed the mark and it was unfair.
Okay. So I thought she hit it out the park. Jamel Hill is. I think she hit it out the park in her analysis. Let me play. I have the Ryan Clark sound.
RG3 called what Angel Reese did hate. He said you could see the hate on her face for Caitlin Clark. I'm not really sure when we moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate, because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate. And so now, though, when RG3 jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, it now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. Right. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom. Now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the league. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in the WNBA. And a ton of her fandom has come along with some racial bias or some racial pieces to why people love her so much. And so now, if you're RG3, when's the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what she's dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what Black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping. And so to me, it's just another situation that now this young lady has to deal with. When I worked with RG3, he would make all of these sort of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special.
I'm going to leave it there. So That's the sound from Ryan Clark. I thought he, as someone who stepped back and took a full analysis of it and worked with Robert Griffin III, I thought his analysis was spot on. Now, I would play for you a person I would never play on my show. But when I heard his analysis, I was absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned. 1 second, guys. Well, okay, he apologized. That was the apology. Okay. Where did I hear that at? Yeah. I'm trying to think of where I heard that at. I don't know if I'm gonna find it, guys. But yeah. I forget the name of the show he's on. But it was Emmanuel Ochoa. And he basically echoed, the fact that a lot of the vitriol aimed at Angel has a racial component about it. It's no getting around it, guys. They want to hide it behind the veil of basketball. Oh, she sucks. She rebounds her own misses and all that stuff. That's just the window dressing on what is really motivating them. And that's the racial animus. So I'll just leave it at that. And then on First Take, you had the ladies, Monica McNutt and Shanae Awumake on there. And they're saying what I constantly say, and that's the concentration should be on the game. It should be on the game. And then also I like the All Smokes idea because I listen to their podcast. They talk about it. Have plain clothes security, placed in certain areas where this kind of stuff takes place. And when it goes down like that, you're able to get that person, ban them, get them out the arena. So I'm down with that. And then Rob Parker, he railed against it. He's got a thing against the WNBA anyhow. But here's what I will agree with him on is that he's out on the league because it's no longer about the stories on the court. It's about the extracurricular activities. To that, I say I'm in agreement. I'm be honest with you. This will be the last time I have a conversation about this sort of thing with Angel and Caitlin. This will be my last conversation. I understand they're going to play 4 more times and so forth. This is the last time I'm going to talk about it because I was actually looking through my archives and I had a whole episode about not a full episode, but about the Kennedy Carter hit. I talked about that. I talked about the overreaction of Caitlin's performance, which was premature. It was early in the season. So I'm making this declaration right here and right now. From here on in, I'm talking about the play within the rectangle, if you will, within the court. I'm no longer going with these, situations as far as this goes. I'm not doing that. I'm concentrating on the game itself. So this will be my last time where I go this route. But from here on in, it's about the game itself. And that be that. Because you're not going to grow the game when we stop to report on this sort of stuff, where it's just a basketball play. Of course, you know, temperatures rose and it got a little bit testy, but it was all basketball. And now we're making this whole big thing now. So from here on in, guys, I'm not reporting on this extracurricular stuff. Only what's going on the court, because I want the game to grow. So that's all I'm gonna say to that. All right, guys. Well, went kind of long with this, but it was a lot to say, so I had to say it. So, guys, I thank you for listening. As always, all things basketball with gd.com is the website. Guys, I'm going on vacation. I'm already in vacation mode, guys. I got my Jamaica hat on, you know, my tribute to the great Harry Belafonte. I'm going somewhere where it's hot, where it's tropical. So undisclosed location, but I'm out of here. So you won't be hearing from me probably until the finals. So, you know, there'll be WNBA basketball being played. I'll keep an eye on that. And then, of course, the finals, the conference finals, I'll keep an eye on that stuff as well. So, but I'm going on vacation. It's been a long season, guys. So I'm out of here. So I thank you for listening. As always, all things basketball with gd.com is the website. There you'll find my clips, my episodes. Also, guys, I'm on YouTube. Guys, I'm on all the podcast platforms. And also support this show. As always, my donate button is on the website. There you'll find buttons for Spotify donate, buy me a coffee, and PayPal. Yes, PayPal. And CashApp, $GD-ThatSportsDude. $GD-ThatSportsDude is how you contribute to the show via CashApp. And the socials, TikTok, Instagram, some Blue Sky, some Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys for listening as always. And next time you hear from me, NBA Finals. Hope my Knicks are there. Yes. So, all right, guys, I thank you for listening as always. We'll talk soon. Take care.